Hi, boys and girls. Today we are going to be making a timeline together. The video you watched earlier told you that a timeline is a way that we can put important events in order. Makes it easier to see when things happened, how long in between different things happened. So we are going to be making a timeline together about some important events in our life. Next week, your reading story is about a very famous inventor. His name is Alexander Graham Bell. And in the story, you'll be seeing a lot of timelines. So what a great way to be introduced to that by making a timeline of our own. Now, we are going to be making a very simple timeline. In the timeline that you saw in the video for Henry, it talked about when he was born and all of the different things he did for school. Kindergarten, college, things like that. Obviously, we haven't gotten there yet, but we've had some pretty important events in our life so far. And we're only going to be making a very short timeline with just 5 different important events. 2 of the events are going to be the same for everybody. And then the events in between, you get to decide what events you want to have on yours. Okay. So what you're going to need is some crayons and a piece of paper. So if you have to pause and get those materials, go ahead and do so. If you're ready to go, great. So here's our plain piece of paper. And what I want you to do is you're going to take it, and you can see I already kind of folded it. You're going to be folding it in half. So if we have it this way, okay, I'm going to fold it in half. All right, I'm just going to make it a little easier for us to make our timeline. Okay, and you're going to unfold it. And you're going to see that fold line down the middle. Okay, and what I want you to do is you can grab a crayon or grab a pencil, and we're going to just trace the fold line that we made. Let me turn mine the other way, okay? And that's going to be the start of our timeline. Remember, that's what a timeline is. It's a line of events. So this is where we're going to have our line to start. Now, what you might want to do is use a pencil first, because it's very hard to erase crayon. Okay, so we have our line down the middle. And as I said, we're going to be having 5 events on our timeline. Now, before we start any thing on our timeline, we want to label what our piece of paper is. And it's going to be our timeline. So at the top of your paper, okay, I want you to write your name. Name across the top. And this belongs to us. And we learned about possessives a little bit ago. So remember, we're going to make an apostrophe S, and we're going to write timeline. And timeline is a compound word. Okay, so Mrs. DiTomaso's timeline. I'm going to underline it too. Okay, so label your paper, and then we'll be ready to create our timeline. Okay. Now what we're going to be doing is first, we're going to get our timeline ready. We're not going to draw or write any events just yet. We're going to be getting them ready. Okay. Now in the timeline you saw on the video, they used years for the ways to show the different events. We're not going to do that. We're going to be just numbering them 1 to 5, just because it's a little easier for us, because we might not remember the years when we did different things. So we're just going to stick to numbering them. Okay, so what I want you to do first is here on your timeline, this is where all of our events are going to come from. So you're going to draw a line straight up. Okay, and we're going to make a little box. Okay, and then underneath the box, just make a number 1. That's going to be the first event on our timeline. Okay, and then just go down a little bit. Okay, and then you're going to make a line going down on our timeline. You're going to make another box. The boxes don't have to be too big. And this is going to be labeled number 2. It's going to be our second event on our timeline. Okay, and then go down a little bit more. Okay, and we're going to go up. Notice our pattern, right? Up, down, and we're going to go up. I'm going to make another box. And this will be labeled, you guessed it, number 3, the third event on our timeline. Okay, Now we're going to keep traveling down. So this was up. So then our next one is going to be going down on our timeline. We're going to make a box. And we're going to label that number 4. Okay, and then down towards the end, this will be our 5th. So again, we can go up, make our 5th box, and we'll label that number 5. So these are going to be the 5 events on our timeline. Now, if you want, you can go over, grab a crayon, you can go over these boxes and make them look a little nicer, giving them some color, but you certainly don't have to. Okay, and as I said, our first event and our 5th event are going to be the same. So our first event, of course, just like in the timeline on the video, is when we were born, okay? So what I want you to do first is somewhere in the boxes, I want you to write your birthday, okay? I want you to write the month and the number. So Mrs. DiTomaso's birthday was September. I'm not gonna write the whole word September because that would be pretty big. So I'm gonna write the abbreviation and then I'm gonna write a 22 because that's when I was born, September 22nd. Okay, so after you have written your birthday, you don't have to write the year, just the month and the day. I want you to draw a symbol. We're not gonna write words, we're gonna draw a symbol that shows a birthday. So what do you think are some things that we could draw to show a birthday? Maybe you're thinking a birthday hat. Maybe you're thinking a cupcake or a cake. Yes, a present. Those are all symbols that would show birthday. So you decide what you want to make. Okay, I'm gonna make a birthday cake. So you decide while we're doing this together, so you should be drawing something right now. I'm gonna draw a birthday cake with some purple frosting. Some cool little decorations here. Okay, and of course, it's not a birthday cake without candles, right? All right, put some little flames on my candles too. Okay, so there's my birthday cake. So this is my first event on my timeline, my birthday. Okay, now I'm gonna skip 2, 3, and 4 for now, and we're gonna go down and do the 5th one, boys and girls. Again, remember the first one and the 5th one on our timelines are going to be the same. We're all gonna have the same of those 2 events, the 1st and the 5th. So the first one was our birthday. The 5th one is going to be being in 1st grade at QCA, okay? Now I know some of us were in K2, in K1, and maybe even pre-K at QCA, which is great. But we're all going to talk about how our 5th important event was being in 1st grade at QCA, okay? So what I want you to do, QCA's color is green. So I want you to get your green, okay? And we're gonna make a QCA, Q, capital Q, C, A. Oops, sorry, I was off camera there. So QCA, okay? What I want you to do at the top is with your pencil, I want you to write 1st grade. Okay, and that shows our 5th event, that we were in 1st grade at QCA. So again, we should have those 2 same events, your birthday and 1st grade at QCA. Now the only difference for birthday will be, your birthdays might be different than mine. I know Anthony, I think, has the same birthday as me, so his will be the same, but everyone else's will be different. And then again, you could have a birthday cake, party hat, present, and then this will be the same for everybody. We're gonna use green, QCA, and everyone's gonna write 1st grade. Now, the next 3 events, you get to decide what you want them to be, but you have to stop and think, okay? Think about when you were born, okay? Think about what some big events, and mom or dad maybe can help you with this. What would be some big events that would have happened between when you were born and when you started 1st grade at QCA, okay? Maybe learning how to walk. Maybe you lost your first tooth. Maybe a big event could have been learning how to talk, maybe whatever your first word was. Maybe it could be riding a bike, tying your shoe, reading a book, writing your name. So those could be all different big events that you could put in the middle. Okay, remember in the video, big events aren't going to McDonald's, playing a video game. Those are pretty fun events, but those aren't really big, important events. When you learn how to do something for the first time, those are pretty important. So those are the things I want you to think about when you're filling in your other 3 things on your timeline. And again, they're just going to be simple pictures. Okay, so let's say you think a pretty big event was learning how to walk. Okay, it doesn't have to be a big giant picture. You could just draw feet. You could draw a pair of shoes if you wanted that to be your first big event, learning how to walk. Okay, you could draw a pair of sneakers. Okay, that could be showing it, learning how to walk. Simple, okay? Let's say another big event you thought was, oh, I lost my first tooth. Okay, well, you could draw a picture of your tooth. Okay. And even if you didn't, oh, Mrs. DiTomaso, I didn't lose my first tooth until I was already in first grade. Well, that's okay. You could still draw it, or you could choose something else. All right, let's think about another event. Maybe you first learned how to do a cartwheel, or you learned how to write your name. Now think about it. You wouldn't put learning how to write your name in number 2, and then in number 4, writing how to learn how to walk. I think that you learned how to walk before you learned how to write your name. Okay, so you have to think about the big important events you want to include on your timeline, but you have to make sure you're putting the 3 events in the middle in the right order. Okay, and that's when talking to mom or dad might help, because I bet most of us, okay, probably lost our first tooth after we knew how to walk. Okay, you didn't learn how to ride your bike and then learn how to walk. So you have to make sure that those 3 events that you are putting in order make a little bit of sense. Okay, let's say you wanted to do learning how to ride your bike. That was a pretty big event. And I know that that's a big event with a lot of us. Okay, you can just, again, these are simple pictures that we're doing. So I just drew a simple picture of a bike. You don't have to write any words. You can if you want to, but you don't have to. You could write lost tooth. You could write walk. You could write riding a bike, but you don't have to, boys and girls. This is just going to be a super duper simple timeline. And if you want to make it a little more fancy, you can go back and you can trace over some of the numbers and boxes and words with your crayon. Okay? When you are finished with your timeline, you're going to take a picture, have mom or dad email it to me so I can see how you did. Okay? Thanks, boys and girls.